Welcome back. On this video, I'm going to be talking about food. Food is probably one of the biggest part of our life at the moment, not being able to go outside. So we have to think what we have to cook. So um, it's always thinking what food I'm going to eat, what I will cook, what food I will order, which restaurant will I order from. So I thought for a moment, and it made me decide that perhaps I should share with you how we can build some vocabulary, some idioms, some phrasal verbs, some expression, some useful expression all around the topic of food, eating and drinking. So, the best place to start is to discover the difference between eat out and eat in. Eat out means to go outside your house and go to a restaurant to have a dinner or a lunch there. On the contrary, eating means to have your dinner at home. But eating could also mean to have a takeaway. If you have a takeaway, so not necessarily cook at home, but you can have, for instance, your dinner at home if you have a takeaway. A takeaway traditionally means to order something on the phone and then you would pick up it, collect it, and take home. However, often even say takeaway when we are talking about delivery. You know, there are so many companies uh, like Uber Eats or Deliveroo. So they bring what you have ordered on the phone. They bring all the stuff and at your home. Americans say takeout, get a takeout, but in UK they say takeaway. If I ask, for instance, if I ask my wife, shall we eat? What shall we eat tonight? Or is my wife who asks me, what shall we eat tonight? I may say, do you fancy Indian food? Do you fancy Indian food? Or do you fancy Chinese food? Or do you fancy pizza? Fancy is a word which has different meaning. It may means that you find someone attractive, but in this context we use fancy just to say what do you want to eat? Basically, what do you want to eat? When we eat out, we go to a restaurant. So we could go to a fancy restaurant or a posh restaurant. If we go to a posh restaurant, we know that we are going to an expensive restaurant. So we need to think for a while. So we have to dress smart. We can also go to a chain restaurant. You know, a chain restaurant is a company which has multiple restaurants all over the world and all over the city. There are so many chain company in Milan. So now, as well as having a takeaway home, we don't just have to have a takeaway. We can also decide to cook our own meal, our own food. So in this case, there are multiple words, expression we could say. Let's start with small things. You may decide to invite some friend of yours, but we know that there are limitations in this period, at this precise moment, given the coronavirus crisis. Anyway, you can at least invite a friend of yours because, for instance, there is an important event on TV and you want to watch with him. So you may call him on the phone and ask, would you like to join me for some nibbles tonight? Nibbles is something that generally you eat in small parts while you are watching TV. So you may eat fried potato, for instance, popcorn, you may eat things like crepes. Americans say chips. So, if you we call nibbly food or nibbles, and when we eat eat it in small part. So we have a snack or while we are watching TV, and we can also prepare some sandwiches. You know, for instance, um, bread roll with sausages inside, or some other hamburger or something like that. So let's say we are having a proper meal at home, and we may have some family member invited. Anyway, the first thing you have to do uh, when you decide to have a dinner at home, obviously you have to cook and you have to get things done. The first thing so you have to do is to lay the table. To lay the table. It means that you have to put everything on the table. But the first thing you have to put is to place a placemat. A placemat could be a rectangular mat or a square mat we put on the table in order to protect the table. Then we can put on the placemat plates, bowls, and in general, we say that we put cutlery. Cutlery. We mean that we put knife, fork, and spoon. We can also put coaster. So because we have to, to put on the table some bottle of wine, some bottle of water, and we have to put a coaster on the table, and then we put the bottle of wine, for instance. So usually we have to wait until everybody has their food, and then we can begin to eat. But before we all start eating, usually the host might want to say something to encourage people, to encourage everybody to start eating. So the most common sentence, or the most uncommon thing to say is probably tuck in, tuck in, two word, tuck and in, but we pronounce connected each other, Tuck in. It's an example of a connected speech. Tuck in. So, tuck in means basically go, start to eat, start eating. Tuck in. We can also say dig in, dig in. Again, is connected speech, but there is also another sentence, another expression. We can say, come on, guy, get stuck in, get stuck in. Or get going, it means which means get going, begin, start, let's go. But if we say get stuck in, means that I invite you to start to eat and to do it with energy. We can also use this expression get stuck in when we are involved in some project, so we have to work on a project, and we need to stuck in to start to go. Usually, I'm a fast eater, and what I tend to do is to scuff my food. Scuff my food. To scuff your food means to eat really, really fast. There is also a slang word people may use, which would be to inhale your food. Maybe if someone is eating too fast, you may say, "Oh my God, you inhale that." To inhale is to breathe, so it's like just breathing in, and all the food is flying down into your mouth. On the contrary, somebody may eat very slowly, so the opposite of scoffing. Maybe you have someone who eats a bit slowly, and generally, if you want them to eat their stuff, vegetables, salad, meat, and whatever, we might say, "Come on, eat up," meaning keep going, eat. It's like encourage them to eat because you know that they are eating, they are not eating, or they are hesitating, and we are encouraging them to eat more. Another interesting word is seconds. Seconds. I love seconds. So when I finish my dinner or my favorite things to do, one of my favorite things to do is to go and see if there is any seconds, or if I can have any seconds, which is basically when you go back to take your food and you fill up your plate again and have a second serving. We call it seconds. It's a difficult word to pronounce because it has a schwa sound inside. So we say seconds, seconds. During my previous course, talking about food, uh, someone asked me a question. Do British people say dessert or pudding? To be honest, you can say either. I don't say pudding. I prefer to say dessert, dessert. So I'd say what's for dessert, not what's for pudding. But you can you can decide to say one of them. When we want to check if everybody is finished, now we could say, is everybody finished? Or you can just say one simple word, finish. But you don't use this intonation finish because we don't want to, to let people know that we have finished and we want to, they to hurry up and finish. We say finished. We change the intonation of this word when we pronounce this word. Finish, finish. So this intonation, this kind of a rise intonation shows that you are asking a question. So you can see how we change the meaning of a word by changing the intonation. And this makes sound like we are asking everybody or a person next to us if they have finished eating. At the very beginning, we lay the table and put everything on the table. Now we need to clear the table. Clear the table. Listen carefully. I say clear. I don't pronounce the final R. You are not supposed to do so. If you want a British accent, you have just to say clear. Clear the table. Now I'm going to take a step away from food and I'm just going to quickly talk about drink because drink, whether it's alcohol or not alcohol, we need it. So we need to know some useful expression about drinking. The first thing I may say, the first sentence I may say, sipping, sipping, sip on a drink, which means that I'm drinking small sips very slowly. So I'm sipping a drink, meaning I'm taking my time. There is no hurry while you are drinking. So I take my time and I sip slowly. On the contrary, you could chug. You could chug a drink. To chug a drink means really to drink really fast, quickly. When people are drinking, like in some drinking game, you know, they are chugging a drink. People might cheer them because, and they might say, "Down it, drink it fast, down it," like tip it upside down. There is a final expression. Finally, for the road, one for the road, one for the road, one for the road. It's a natural pronunciation. Okay, one for the road. You have to notice how I pronounce quickly two words which happen to be function word, for and then. So I pronounce them quickly. So I say one for the road, one for the road. It's not important to pronounce these words, so we pronounce them quickly. What's the meaning of this expression, one for the road? To have one for the road means to have one more drink, to drink more before you finish and you go home. And that's all about drinking and eating. I do hope this video is useful and all the expression we have shared are useful for you when it happened to you to have a conversation talking about food, drinking, and something like that. Thank you for watching. See you next time.